welcome back to the channel. Today I will be giving my predictions for the 4 games over the divisional round. The 4 games being the Bills at the Broncos, the Niners at the Seahawks, the Texans at the Patriots, and the Rams at the Bears. We're going to start this off with the first game on Saturday being the Buffalo Bills taking on the Denver Broncos. The Buffalo Bills beat the Jaguars last week 27-24. Obviously, the one-seeded Broncos had the bye week. This is a game for me that could really show a lot for both teams. For the Denver Broncos, if they're able to beat the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen, that would be a very huge win, not just for the season, but for your future, knowing that, hey, we can find a way to beat Josh Allen no matter what. Because the thing with the Broncos is, I don't think this is going to be the best that they're going to be in the future. So if you're able to beat Josh Allen when you could say that the team fully isn't there yet, that is a huge win for the franchise as a whole. Whereas for the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen, this could just be another season where it's like, hey, we know we're there. We're always so close. The Chiefs aren't in the playoffs. This is our time. So if they win this game, that would kind of solidify that as, hey, we've been the best team in the AFC for a while. If Mahomes and the Chiefs just weren't there, and now they're not there, so we are gonna take this step up, and we're gonna be the number one team. It's kind of hard to say that just because this season, the Buffalo Bills, for the most part, weren't really, like, in my mind at least, a true contender. They just beat the Jaguars, a team that I thought was very close to being a true contender, but wasn't quite there. And now they're playing the Denver Broncos, who, although their offense at times can, like, play down to their opponents, I would say as a whole that their team is a top tier football team and a true Super Bowl contenders this season. Their defense for the Broncos is just phenomenal. It's amazing. It's one of the best in the league. It's why there are games where it's like they can score like 18. They scored 18 against the Texans, and they were able to find a way to win that game still. I think 18-15. But yeah, no matter what, the defense can keep them into games, and I think that the defense is going to be able to keep the Broncos within reach of the Buffalo Bills. I do see this game being a kind of Bills do their thing for a little bit. Like maybe in the first half, the Broncos can find something offensively. I don't want to say find something because their offense, although at times doesn't look great, you saw it against the Packers when they scored, I believe, 34 points. They can put up points on the board. It just sometimes they struggle to do so. Whereas the Bills, they kind of do score a lot. Their thing is scoring just because the defense, if they can get beaten they can be manhandled. You saw the Ravens in week 1. They manhandled them. You saw the Patriots for about 6 of the 8 quarters kind of manhandle them. You saw the Falcons manhandle them. Overall, they're a defense they're a small defense. Their linebackers are small. The cornerbacks can't really tackle, and they're banged up, to say the least. So, their defense can get absolutely dog walked. Which is why I think the Broncos, they really can have a great offensive game this week. And they're going to need to, I believe, because I do think the Bills are going to be able to beat the Broncos defense. One thing to take into account, though, is you are playing in Denver, the Mile High Club. It's going to be a hard thing. It takes time to even adjust to that kind of level. So I think the Bills at first will be slow, which if the Broncos are able to capitalize on the Bills being slow in the first quarter, maybe like the first 20 minutes, the Broncos are up like 10-0. That is a huge win for the Denver Broncos. If it's still like close, like it's 3-3, 7-3, I do think that the Bills will be able to like climb back from that kind of deficit because it's not really a huge thing. It's just you score a touchdown and you have a lead now. But it's gonna be a tale of two halves for me. It's can the Broncos get an early lead in the first half? If they do, I think they will win the game. If the game is still kind of close, like a one possession game still, like let's say it's 13-7, the Bills I think can come back and win it, just because this is basically the Broncos have a better team. They're a better defense. Offensively, they can sometimes handle their own against what is probably the most skilled quarterback in the league, being Josh Allen. And you saw last week, I said that the Jaguars are the better team against the Bills, and that I thought they were going to find a way to win just because I think the better team is going to win. And you saw that Josh Allen and the Bills basically just said, yeah, we may not be the better team, but we're going to have better moments within the game, and we do have the best player in the game. And they were able to do both of those things and won the game. And I do believe that the Buffalo Bills will find a way to beat the Denver Broncos this week. They beat them last week. They beat them last year, sorry, in the wild card round. Bo Nix's first playoff game. I think it was like 35-7. Obviously, it's going to be a much closer game this year. But I do still think that the Buffalo Bills are going to win this game. They're not the better team, but I just think that when you look at the play of the quarterback position, I think that Josh Allen is going to be able to do more for his team than Bo Nix will be able to do for his team. Obviously, if the Denver Broncos win, congratulations, Denver Broncos. You're gonna host another home game against either the Texans or the Patriots. I believe that the Buffalo Bills are gonna be able to find their groove in the second half, run the ball more, play action, the small pass game, short pass game, and just have methodical drives to win the game. I think the Bills probably win a game along the lines of like 24-20. It's not going to be a huge shootout kind of game, but I do think they will find their moments to beat the Denver Broncos on Saturday. Going to the next game, we have the San Francisco 49ers taking on the Seattle Seahawks. This is an interesting matchup. This will be the third matchup that the teams had. Week 1 was a game. They kind of had two polar. It was the same game, but for the opposite team. Where in Week 1, the Niners were just constantly going down the field on the Seahawks, but were struggling to really get in the end zone, which led to the game being closer. And that was in Week 1. In Week 18, it was the opposite, where it was the Seahawks were constantly moving the ball, but they just weren't able to get in the end zone. Missed a few kicks, went for it on fourth down. In the red zone, wasn't able to get it, which brought the Niners kind of still in the game, even though they weren't able to do much. This game, here's the thing. The Niners were able to beat the Eagles because the coaching was just so much better. Far and away, Kyle Shanahan was able to do so many more things offensively than Kevin Patullo was with the Eagles. And I don't think that kind of coach disadvantage or advantage, I guess, for the Niners is going to be the same this week, because I do think that the Seahawks offense, although they struggled at the later half of the season, obviously, great game against the Rams. But for the most part, they scored like 18 against the Colts. They had a couple of duds, but they were still able to win those games. But I think the offense it's not gonna be as great as the Niners, but it's gonna hold their own. It's gonna be able to just do enough at times. And then when it comes to the defensive minds, I do think that Mike McDonald is a better defensive mind than Robert Saleh is. And obviously, the Seahawks defense in general is just better than the Niners defense. Fred Warner may be back this game. Another thing that could be huge though is that Sam Darnold has, I believe, an oblique injury. He is questionable, but he's gonna play. There's not gonna be a Nick Foles kind of thing where Drew Lock comes in and has to play. Sam Darnold will play. Whether or not he will play as good as he can, whether or not he's gonna be 100%, we'll have to find out then. But overall, he's gonna play. There is no shit, he's hurt this week, he can't play. You're going to play Sam Darnold. They'd rather have you, the Seahawks fans and really the franchise, would rather have Sam Darnold at 60% than have Drew Lock at 100%. So, Sam Darnold, you're gonna play. As for this game, I do kind of see it being another one of those low-scoring games where it's just damn, 3rd and 8, not able to get it. Short yards, third downs, no one's able to really get it. This is a game where it's gonna be huge. Two fan bases that don't really like each other. In Seattle, the 12th man. I do think that the Seattle Seahawks are going to win this game. 2 weeks ago, they were able to kind of manhandle the Niners offense that was putting up 35 in the last 5 games. And they allowed only 3. They allowed the Niners to score just 3 points. And they're a team that can rush forward and get to the quarterback. Obviously, Trent Williams is going to be back in this game, so that's going to be a huge thing for the Niners to give Brock Purdy as much time as he needs in order to play the way that we know he can play. But even in saying that, I do think that the corners are very good at Seattle. Very, very good. And I do believe that they're going to be able to beat the Niners receivers. Obviously, if Kyle Shanahan is able to chalk up a play that the Seahawks don't expect, that could happen. You saw that with Jawan Jennings throwing a touchdown to CMC last week against the Eagles. Vic Fangio just didn't expect that kind of play to be called. So I think the Niners will need another kind of trick play to get the offense in rhythm again. Or not in rhythm, but just to bring back the confidence in that offense. Because I do think the Seahawks at times in this game will be able to just be all right, you're not going to move this ball the next 3 drives like they did in Week 18. And like they've done to most teams this season. The number 1 ranked defense, allowing 17.2 points per game. I do think that the Seahawks will be able to do enough this week. I would be very surprised if either of these teams get to 30 points. I think at most someone's scoring is 27. I'm going to lean Seattle Seahawks with a score of about, I'll say 23. It will be a close game. I'll see it about 23-20 where they're going to stop the Niners on the last drive of the game to win the game. All right, the first game on Sunday, we have the Houston Texans playing the New England Patriots. This is probably, to me, gonna be the best game. Maybe not scoring-wise, because I think the Rams Bears will be the high offense game. But this game means a lot, because I think if the Texans do win this game, I do think they will be playing in the Super Bowl. If the Patriots win this game, we're going to have in my eyes, the Patriots versus the Bills. First things first, the defense from the Texans is dominant. They literally may have just put Aaron Rodgers in the retirement home. He may be in Cancun as we speak. They absolutely just dominated the Steelers. Most people thought they were going to, but the way they did it was insane. As for the Patriots, though, I believe, 6 sacks on Justin Herbert. Obviously, Chargers O-line is not great. It's probably the worst in the league. But I don't think they're going to be able to do that this week to the Texans. Um, Drake May and the Patriots, they have been probably the most consistently good team. You can say the schedule was very easy, and it was. The schedule was one of the easiest. I think there's a stat that the Giants had more wins over teams above 500 than the Patriots. But you just saw it last week. They proved that, yeah, we are actually a good football team with the win against the Chargers 16-3. And the offense didn't really look that great, though, the Patriots. I think Drake may have like 300 passing yards. But overall, I don't think that they really played to their standard. And you could see that just because they scored just 16 points. Um, if they score just 16 points, I do think the Texans will win that game. However, I don't know actually. I think I'm gonna go with the Houston Texans to win this game. I do think that their defense will be able to slow down Drake May in that offense just enough because the Texans offense has been really bad this season. Really, probably the last 2 seasons, the offense hasn't been great. CJ Stroud looks nothing like what he was in his rookie year, which is kind of sad just because I thought that he was going to be a phenomenal quarterback. He still can be, but he hasn't shown it the last 2 weeks, or last 2 seasons, sorry. He has not shown it last week. They may have scored 30 points, but I think it was, 3 fumbles from CJ Stroud, which is just not good. You can't turn over the ball, which is my whole take on the Texans is if CJ Stroud in the offense is able to limit turnovers, they should be at least in the championship game. And you saw that last week. They weren't able to do that, but they just forced more turnovers. The problem is I do think the Patriots, if the Patriots don't turn over the ball, I do think they're going to win. However, I do think the Texans will force a turnover, whether it's an interception or going for it on fourth down and they don't get it, or a fumble. I do believe that the Patriots will play kind of sloppy again for the second week offensively, and I think the Texans are going to win another one of those ugly, boring games. Not boring, but very ugly and sluggish games like last week with a score of around like 17-14. Which, if I'm the Patriots, it's cool that you made it this far. Obviously, you want to play next week as well. But for the Texans, you realize that, hey, for the first time in franchise history, we just made it to the championship game, and our offense is pretty bad. That just shows how great I think the defense is. All right, the last game of the divisional round, we have the Rams taking on the Chicago Bears. This game just fully shows how I'd be surprised if this wasn't like a shootout 38-33 kind of game. I would be very surprised because I think that these are probably the 2 best offenses left in the playoffs. You could say the Niners as well, but I think these 2 are probably the best 2 offenses currently playing. And it is just because the quarterback play. Say what you want about Caleb Williams. He is very fucking inaccurate. And he needs to get that shit together. But they're just... the Bears are... Caleb Williams isn't a great quarterback until the fourth quarter. They'll probably be down by like 10 going into the fourth and just find a way to win. I'm going to pick the Rams. I believe that they are one of the best teams. They've been one of the best teams all season. Obviously, they had a little kind of downhill going into the postseason, whereas the Bears played up in the end of the regular season. I just think that Sean McVay, even if here's my thing though, the Bears are going to be down going into the fourth quarter. However, Sean McVay is a much better head coach than Matt LaFleur. Matthew Stafford is a much better quarterback than Jordan Love. The run game from the Rams, I believe, is better than the Packers. The defense from the Rams is better than the Packers. They're just an overall much better team than the Packers. And I believe that they will be able to hold on to the lead that they get going into the fourth quarter. I believe going into the fourth quarter, it would be like somewhere around like 28 to like 17 Rams, and they'll just kind of hold it in. They were able to do that last week against the Panthers, where the game was much closer than it probably was supposed to be, but they were just able to get a game-winning drive and then hold on to the lead to end the game. I think they're going to be able to do that again against the Bears, where it's like 34 to like 31, and they're just able to hold on to the ball, 4-minute offense, and end the game. I do believe that the Rams will win this game. And if they don't, I won't be surprised. I would be surprised, though, if the Bears were blowing them out. Because I think if one team's going to blow out another team, the Rams are going to blow out the Bears. But I do think that the Rams will win a closer game than it probably should be, just because the Bears are going to do Bears shit in the fourth quarter and like score 2 touchdowns. But yeah, that is my predictions on the 4 games this week. Tomorrow I will be giving you guys my post-game reactions to the Bills, Broncos, and Niners Seahawks game. Sunday I will be giving my post-game reactions to the Texans versus Patriots and the Rams-Bills game. So yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.